Whether new shooter, longtime gun owner, or even police officer or soldier, your handgun needs a Crimson Trace laser sight or light. Get the confidence and reliability you need to protect family, home, and country. Crimson Trace.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
All right, back with you. Tom Gresham, 866-TALK-GUN. Get you there. Over on Twitter, I'm at Gun Talk. All I have to do is mention the election. If I just say Cruz, if I just say Trump, Twitter blows up. And people are mad at me. How dare you? You're walking away from. No. Good gravy. Well, it's all in good fun. I guess. It's crazy. We'll get to our guest in just a minute because we're going to be talking about how to make a gun better. But we do have some callers that have been hanging in there and somebody who's just called in to help us out. My old buddy Clark Aposhian's just called in from Salt Lake City to help us out with that last caller. Hey, Clark, how are you, man?
I am doing well, Tom, and I know you're doing well because I can just hear it. We're talking guns. And no Cruz, no Trump on this call. Hey, just really quick, to the individual down in Cedar City, Utah, he is correct on the 2 manual actions to fire the firearm, but on a revolver, you still cannot have, or any firearm, you still cannot have an unexpended shell or cartridge in the firing position. So he can't load full 6, but he'd have to have 5 out of 6 in that cylinder hammered down on an empty chamber.
Okay, so that would be illegal to have a hammer. He'd have a hammer on an empty chamber, and then he could cock it and fire it. What we're talking about, for those who just arrived, Clark explained this open carry law in Utah, what we're talking about here.
So what we've got here, if you don't have a concealed carry permit and you want to carry a firearm out in the open, so it's open carry, we have this really weird, very misunderstood requirement that if you don't have a permit and you're going to carry, you got to open carry, and you cannot have it loaded. So unloaded in Utah means it requires 2 manual actions to fire the firearm. In addition to that, with regards to revolver carriers, you cannot have a shell or a cartridge in the firing position. So you have to have the hammer down on an empty chamber on that one.
Okay, the question that pops into my mind, because I'm wicked like this, is we're talking about a single action revolver where you'd have an empty chamber underneath the hammer, so you would have to cock the gun. Oh, my goodness, I had to cough right in the middle of that, sorry. And then you'd pull the trigger. That's 2 actions. Question.
Right.
Double action revolver. Could we have an unloaded chamber?
You know, there's a series of thought about that, but basically now they're saying you have to have 2 empty chambers in a double-action firearm.
No, so you're kidding me.
Yeah, I know. We're getting rid of this. We are getting rid of this. So, you know.
I know you're working on it.
Did you hear Mike McNett? Did you hear Mike McNett with double tap screaming at the end of the last segment, though?
What was he screaming?
Because you said Cedar City, Iowa.
Oh, I said Iowa. Darn it. Cedar City, Utah. Thank you for the correction.
No.
Yeah, my phone's going to blow up. Mike's going to go, you know where we live. You know where we are. We're in Utah. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So, yes, you're right. Anyway. In fact, we're going to be with Mike McNett just in a few weeks, going out and shooting some guns and some TV with him. So I probably ought to go to Utah instead of Iowa. What do you think?
I think so. Vector, you're playing from Louisiana to Utah, not to Iowa.
That's right. Turn to a heading of about 290. Let's go. Well, I appreciate it, Clark. Thank you so much. We also, before we get to our guest, I want to get Daryl in here out of Yorktown, Indiana. He's on line 3. Daryl, do you really have a Remington 244?
Yes.
Okay.
My father had it. He passed away.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And he used to shoot coyotes with it, but here in Indiana recently it just became legal to use according to the legislature and the DNR. but I was wondering, I'd kind of like to use it this upcoming season
Mm-hmm.
to honor him, but I'd wanted to know what the best ammunition or bullets for that would be.
Sure. Okay, let's back up. Yours is a Remington Model 722. It is truly, for those who don't know, the Remington brought out the 244 cartridge about the same time that Winchester brought out the 243 Winchester. The big difference was Remington had a 1 in 12 twist rate. Winchester had a 1 in 9 twist rate, which stabilized longer, i.e. heavier bullets, which made it a true dual use. Varmint bullets, lightweight, and up to 100, even a little bit heavier, that it was stabilized for deer hunting. About 3 years after they brought it out, Remington changed the name of it from the 244 cartridge to the 6mm Remington, increased the twist rate from 1 in 12 to 1 in 9 to stabilize heavier bullets, but Winchester already had a head start and took off, and now everybody knows the 243 Winchester, and hardly anybody knows the 6mm Remington, and nobody, my friend, knows the 244. That is cool that you have your dad's rifle. Now, a question for you. Are you a hand loader?
No. I've thought about getting into it.
Okay. Here's your challenge, is finding ammunition. Now, you do know you can shoot 6mm Remington ammo in that rifle, right?
Yes.
Okay. The deal there's going to be finding a lighter bullet that is constructed for deer. A lot of the lighter bullets are constructed for varmints. Something like, I'm just going to throw these out as examples, the Nosler partition bullet. They have an 80-grain 6mm bullet. Something like a Barnes triple shock. They have an 80-grain version of that. If you can find a 6mm Remington load with any of those, you're golden. I think that rifle will stabilize those. When you get out to 90 or 100 grains, it could be iffy as to whether the gun would stabilize those loads. But if you do a little shopping, try to get 80, 85 grain bullet that's constructed for deer, you're in good shape.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I wish you luck with it. Yeah. Check out the Double Tap website, doubletapammo.net. See what Mike has there. Check out some of the other manufacturers. But keep in mind, you don't want to try to shoot 100-grain bullets in there. You want 90s or less. Probably, if it'd be, I'd try 90, and I'd shoot it at the range and see if they stabilize. And I want to shoot it all the way out to 300 yards to make sure that bullet's stabilized out there. Or go to like an 80-grain bullet, and I think you're good to go.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
Good deal. I appreciate the call. Listen, thank you. Tell you what, let's do. Just to be fair, we got Tommy Thacker on hold. Tommy, we're going to take a quick break, come back to you, and give you a lot more time on the back end. We're going to be talking about triggers and shooting and lots of other stuff. If you'd like to join us, 866-TALK-GUN. We'll be right back.
Join the Ruger 2 Million Gun Challenge and help donate $4 million to the NRA Institute for Legislative Action. The NRA ILA is committed to preserving the Second Amendment right of all law-abiding individuals to purchase, possess, and use firearms. And Ruger pledges to donate $2 for each new Ruger firearm sold between the 2015 and 2016 NRA annual meetings. Visit Ruger.com/2million to learn more and support the NRA ILA by buying a new Ruger firearm today.
The Black Hills. There's nothing like it on Earth. The kind of place where characters become legends. Wild Bill Hickok, Crazy Horse, Calamity Jane. Pick any part of the world and you'll find people go there to make it their own. But this is where people come to get made. This is the place that made the people who make the best ammo on Earth. Black Hills Ammunition.
You need a good holster. You want something that's comfortable, easy to wear, and both high quality and inexpensive. Check out the Q-Line from CompTac. The Q-Line offers superior quality and comfort, plus a modular design that will fit multiple firearms, saving you time and money. With options for concealed carry or range use, the Q-Line is the quality holster you need. The Q-Line at comp-tac.com.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. Shopguntalk.com.
If you're looking for a safe and trusted way to sell your firearms, look no further than Dury's Gun Shop. I trusted them to sell my dad's collection. They built their business for over 50 years on honesty and customer service. Dury's Guns will buy any size collection or estate, none too big or too small. Selling your firearms to Dury's Guns is easy. Go with the pros. I trust Dury's Guns. Dury'sGuns.com. All right, when you want to talk about three-gun shooters, people that really know what they're doing, one of the names that pops up all the time is Tommy Thacker. Man's been around, he's competed everywhere, he's won all sorts of stuff, and joins us right now to talk about guns and shooting and how to make your gun better. Tommy, how you doing, man?
Good, Tom. How are you doing today?
I'm good. You doing any shooting these days?
Yeah, just a little bit, you know.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So what are you competing in these days? What's the last thing you shot at?
Well, three-gun mostly, three-gun regional, three-gun nation match down in Alabama was the most recent event. Getting ready for my pro match this coming week at Virginia International Raceway for the three-gun nation pro tour. So that's really the discipline I spend the most time with. I tinker with some other things, but that's really my main discipline, if you will.
What's it take to stay sharp in three-gun? How much do you have to shoot?
Well, you know, it's different for everybody, Tom. For me, I think it's conditioning, the mental side of things. So, you know, I get up and I take the kids to school in the mornings, and I go to the gym for a little while, work on my conditioning to make sure I'm in decent shape. There's a lot of running. You know, it's an athletic sport. So to be at the top of the game, I think it's you know, you really have to be on the athletic side. From the shooting side, you know, it's really the fundamentals. We shoot from 3 yards to 600 yards in a match, and you got to be proficient with shotgun, of course, pistol and rifle. So during the week, it's different training. So it depends on when I come out of a match, what I need to work on for the next event. If I felt like pistol was really weak in the match, and I had a few extra misses that I shouldn't have had, then I'll spend a lot of time working on pistol. And just depends. After each match, you just kind of regroup a little bit and see what discipline I need to spend some time on.
I got to point out something you said that was interesting. There was a little nugget in the middle of that. And it was the first thing you said when you talk about what do you work on in shooting. You said, well, work on the fundamentals. And I always like when people say, well, you know, I want to work on the advanced stuff. And all the shooters I know who are really good, people like you, they all say, well, work on the fundamentals, because ultimately that's really all there is.
Absolutely. You know, and I find it, I always go back to it in a match. If I feel like I come off the stage, it just really didn't go well, and kind of shake my head. It's like, boy, that just didn't go right. I look at the fundamental breakdowns there. What did I do wrong? And you know, I didn't lock the wrist out, or I didn't, you know, get the right position. I was kind of shooting across my body, or something simple that you just go back to the roots. And once you have that, it's a base platform that you can always excel from.
One of the things, and it's part of that I just would like you to touch on just for a second. My dad used to call it lazy eyes when he was talking about wing shooting and people who shoot a clay target. He'd say you'd kind of look around the target, but really wouldn't focus hard on the target. You have to have a hard look, whether it's a front sight or a target or whatever it is that's appropriate for the gun you're shooting. There's a discipline and a practice, and you actually kind of get out of practice, don't you, if you don't shoot enough?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's I mean you've got a great point there, Tom. Is that some targets, depending on what it is, it takes a hard focus, and some it can be lazy. You know, if it's a paper target that's real close and you're running fast, it's a lazy focus. You know, but when we're shooting distance, you definitely have to be dialed in. So, you know, some of the shots they're not quite bench rest shots, but you're shooting a 10-inch plate at 500 yards. You know, there's not a lot of room for error there.
Yeah, you got to get it right. And oh, by the way, you're also shooting against time too.
Time and crazy positions, and you probably just ran 30 yards to get into that position. So, yeah, there's a lot at stake. There's a lot going on. It's not just sitting at a bench and shooting, which is a great sport in itself. But you know, you put a lot of other stress factors in there, and it's as close as you can get to what I would consider real world shooting.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff. Now, I know that you're doing some stuff with our buddy John Veer over at Timney. talk to me for a second about what a trigger means to you as a competitive shooter.
Sure. It's that's the last thing you touch before you send a round down range. So, everything you can do, all this other practice, do everything right, but if your trigger's not right, then you're putting a lot of energy into the rifle or the pistol that you don't need to. So, for me, the trigger has to be crisp, it has to be sharp. When I'm focused and my body's in the right spot and my sights are aligned, I want to touch the trigger and I want that round to go on that target. So the trigger is the most important part of the rifle to me.
The when aspect, I think, is often not appreciated, and that is, I want the gun to go off when I want it to go off.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is, people, you get stuck in these different mindsets of, you got to press the trigger, you squeeze the trigger, you got to do all these other things. You can't slap it, you can't jerk it. Well, yeah, you can't jerk it and keep your sights on target, but you can definitely slap it and keep your tight shots there. So for me, it's I try not to slap the trigger, but sometimes you have to. If I'm trying to put two shots on a target in a quarter of a second. It's hard to press it and slow press and let it surprise you. So you really need to get on the gas and make it go fast, and then get down into position and take your time and squeeze for those long shots. So it's kind of an art. It's sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow, and if you don't have a lot of time to prep and squeeze, you need a trigger that's crisp and reliable, and it's going to go when you want it to.
Well, I know as a hunter, when I started using good triggers, it was like, okay. Well, first of all, it gave me real confidence that no matter where it was or how far it was within reasonable distance, I could hit it because the gun would go off when I wanted it to go off. Because, and I guess the point here I want to make to people is that you can't hold a gun perfectly still. It's not possible, nor should you actually even try. You got to live with the wobble, right?
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest things. If people go out and see some of the 3-gun matches today, the targets that we're shooting are much different than what we used to. We're shooting, plate racks at 100 yards offhand. So you're taking 8-inch plates at 100 yards with your rifle, and we're cleaning those things in 3 seconds. And people say, well, how do you do it so fast? Well, you can't hold still on the target. You got it exactly right. So you have some type of motion. For me, I like to go left or right across the target. And when I'm panning across the target, as soon as my crosshairs touch the left edge of that target, I'm prepping that trigger and squeezing. And that gives me 8 inches of wobble. So I've got 8 inches coming across that target that anywhere in that 8 inches, if the shot breaks, the plate goes down. And you continue that 6 times, and there's a clean plate rack.
Well, but the key to that simply won't work if the trigger doesn't go off the same way every time.
Exactly right. That is the key point. So if your trigger is creepy, gritty, long, a lot of take up, a lot of over travel, all those crazy things, then you don't have that precise engagement. So yeah, you're guessing that when that's going to go, and you can't rely on that consistently. So that's one of the things. When we're tuned up, we got the trigger exactly how we want it. Usually in the 2 to 3 pound range. 3.5 is probably about max for most competition shooters. You know exactly what it feels like, so you can be on that trigger and prepping. And more than likely, when I get close to that target, I've got 1.5 pounds, maybe almost 2 pounds of pressure on the trigger. So it's just a little bit more, and it breaks somewhere across that plate. And that's what we just do it over and over.
I'm hearing you describe that, and in my mind, I am remembering a mule deer I shot in Colorado, about 330 yards. He's moving. Now, normally I would not take a shot like that, but he was a 30-inch plus mule deer. He's a big son of a gun. And I am in a rock-solid sitting position with a great trigger, shooting a 300 Magnum that I know I can hit a watch with at 300 yards. And I just swing out in front of him, press the trigger, and don't worry about it. And there you go. And just kind of, it gives you the confidence that, yes, I can make that shot. And the confidence goes a long way toward whether it's your hunting or your competition.
Absolutely. Confidence is key. And no matter what you're doing, you said it exactly right. The competition shooting has developed my skills as a hunter, through the roof. Is that, there's shots that I take now that I feel so confident in that I would have passed up on very nice bucks because I just wouldn't have taken the shot. I would never have taken a standing shot at 200 yards. I'm looking for a tree, a branch, something to lean off of. And now it's just, you just stand up and shoot like it's nobody's business. And, that's one thing that I want to get across to a lot of the new competitors and a lot of hunters is that, if you get out and try some of these shooting sports, your hunting gets much better. I mean, your confidence goes through the roof. And not that you're not making crazy shots. you're just making very comfortable shots, and you know that you can make that shot. So it's a much cleaner game animal that you're taking that. It's real. It really develops a great skill set.
If you could knock down how many was it? 8-inch targets at 100 yards?
Six 8-inch targets.
Six 8-inch targets at 100 yards in 3 seconds, then hitting a standing deer at 100 or even 200 yards offhand is simply nothing, because in your mind you're thinking, I've done this 1,000 times. I can do this thing.
Absolutely. It's subconscious. When you talk about those fundamentals, shooting that plate rack over and over with my rifle is fundamentals. Now I've got an 8-inch circle, and if you look at any type of kill zone on an animal, an 8-inch circle, that's a perfect spot. So I know that I can shoot that anytime, anywhere, any position, and I can do it as fast as I want to. So now I've got all kinds of time to sit and watch for that perfect shot opportunity.
Well, of course, Timney has a trigger for pretty much anything, whether it's ARs or your hunting rifle. I mean, just look at I can't even believe how many when I go to the website. It's TIMNEY, TimneyTriggers.com. What trigger are you using in your AR?
Right now I'm running the 667S ST, which is a 3-pound straight trigger. That's a 3-pound trigger, and that's my number one go-to. We've got the new 2-stage triggers. I just started shooting those a little bit. I'm still shooting those in practice. I'm not running them in competition yet because it's a little bit different. But the 2-stage triggers give you 1.5 pounds on the front and 1.5 pounds on the rear. So basically, when I'm talking about those plates, you take 1.5 pounds take up, and then you only have 1.5 pounds trigger. So I'm taking up a little bit, and then I'm taking up the rest. And then on the reset, you got about 1.5 pounds each time it resets. So it's a little bit different. I really like it, but I'm not confident with it yet, so I'm not going to take it into full competition mode. And
on those 500-yard shots, that would be just the ticket.
Absolutely. A little bit of prep, get on target, and a little bit of press, and there goes the round, impact the target.
There you go. TimneyTriggers.com is the website. Tommy, just continued good luck on everything, man. You're killing it out there. I love what you're doing, and I appreciate you spending time and educating us, man.
No problem, Tom. Thanks. You appreciate it a lot.
All righty. You take care. We'll see you out there on the range or at the NRA show or somewhere. It's Tommy Thacker. Yeah, you've seen him on TV. In case you didn't get it, that was like a graduate course. Tons of information there. All right, now it's time for you. What's on your mind? 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. A range report. I'd love to hear what you're shooting, what you like, and maybe even what you don't like. We'll be right back.
Want your opinion to make a difference? Log on to our website and take the Gun Talk poll, www.guntalk.com. Now, once again, opinion page regular contributor for the Washington Times, here's Tom.
Oh, we get email. Adrian sends this in, just arrived. By the way, you can always send me an email, tom@guntalk.com. Tom, real quick question. Do you know how much it affects having letters, signs, logos, etc. on your carry gun in case you have to use it to defend yourself? Like with the jury, the process after a shooting, does it really make a difference? He sent me a picture. What he's talking about is people who have engraved on their guns or somehow put on their guns things like around the muzzle, smile and wait for the flash, or we don't call 911, or any sort of logos, saying tough guy BS. Kind of like you're starting to get the sense of where I am on this. If you went into a fight, would you knowingly give the other guy an advantage? Would you hand him a weapon to use against you? To which you're all going, are you crazy? No, of course I wouldn't. Well, if you have to use your gun in self-defense, you're going to be in another fight. Very likely. Pretty good chance. That's a legal fight. If you have some of that junk on your pistol, you've just given a weapon to the prosecutor. Huh? There are some prosecutors out there who would love to put a notch on their pistol, their professional pistol, and you're the notch. And if you have to explain away anything in court, particularly something of your own doing, why would you do that? Why would you want the jury to think, oh, this guy was looking for somebody to shoot? He went out looking for trouble. People who don't know anything about guns, because trust me, here's one thing that's going to happen. There won't be any NRA members on the jury. I've actually seen prosecutors ask the jury pool, is there anybody here that belongs to the NRA? And when their hands went up, they were excused. You don't get to be on the jury. And then during the voir dire, they will, or the jury pool, checking the jury pool, they will ask if you own guns. They will ask about all that kind of stuff. And if it involves gun use, they're going to try to get rid of everybody that knows anything about guns and have people on there who know nothing about guns. And then they're going to say, yeah, that dude, man, he had that junk all over his gun. He was looking for somebody. Why would you hand your opponent a weapon to use against you? Stock gun, not embellished. I mean, if you want to put some pretty grips on it or something like that or good sights, not a problem. And somebody's going to say, well, do you know of any case? No, I don't. Don't know of a single case. Don't want to be the case. Yeah, I use factory-loaded ammo also. Line 2, Chris is with us out of Glendale, Arizona. Chris, thank you for your patience. What's your question here?
Oh, Tom, thank you for taking my call. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So I got to ask. Long-time CCW carry. I'm not law enforcement. I carry my Glock 26 with an extra grip with the Glock 23 magazine. Mm-hmm. And I got to ask you, listening to you, take your advice. I carry an extra magazine, plus I have my flashlight on my hip. Mm-hmm. When you got to use the restroom in a public area, how do you politely, without exposing your weapon, handle your business?
We talk about standing up or sitting down?
Standing up, sir.
Oh, standing up is easy. That's if you got a cover guard. Now, are you carrying concealed?
On my hip. What is that? I can't remember. Well, I got two different holsters. Can
you see it, the gun, or is it open carry where you can see it, or is it concealed by a garment?
No, I normally conceal. Yeah, as a gentleman, even though we can carry in Arizona, I still carry concealed.
Okay. Well, look, you can walk up to a urinal and do what you got to do, and no one should be the wiser. If you are concerned about that at all, then just wait till there's a stall available. Even though it's a stand-up affair, you can then use a stall and lock the door behind you and go that way. But you shouldn't have to expose anything for the standing ovation that you're going to. Yeah, with an untucked shirt or whatever. So it shouldn't be an issue. Are you finding it's a problem?
Behind me.
Say again?
If you're standing up, you got to lift up your shirt so you don't wet your shirt. And then I'm like, it's awkward. I'm holding on to my belt loop and a hoop so it doesn't drop. And that's a little bit of weight. So, but you're saying just use a stall and no one will be the wiser.
Yeah, if that's a concern with your particular type of carry, just go to hit a stall. That's not a problem. Then, you're good to go. I don't think it's going to be an issue if using a stall is going to be it. Let me ask you a question. I'm curious now, and I'm trying to be careful about this. It's delicate. Are you having to hold your belt up while you're doing this? What's going on? I'm trying to figure out what's going on
because
here.
Of the weight behind my. I have an extra mag on my left kidney, and then my holster is just slightly on my right kidney, and then a flashlight. Flashlight's pretty light. And I've got I've got a 2.5 inch.
If you're going to undo your look, if you're going to undo your belt, yes, get into a stall instead of just a zipper. If you're just using a zipper, it shouldn't be an issue. But if you're going to undo your belt, get into a stall. Absolutely.
Perplex me because there are other CCW carriers, and they don't pay any attention. Their gun is exposed right behind them in the stall, and I'm thinking, Jesus, do you guys not understand what you're doing when you're handling your business and your firearm is open to everybody? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, got you back to the world. You got to figure it out for yourself, but I think maybe a stall is going to be the way to go for you there, Chris. Look, I appreciate the call, sir. Probably a perfect place for us to take a break, so to speak, and Philip and Ivan, don't go anywhere. We're going to get to you. If you'd like to join us, give us a holler, 866-TALK-GUN. We'll be right back with more gun talk.
HSM Ammunition has been loading quality ammo since 1968. HSM makes a complete line of centerfire loads, including long-range, cowboy action, lead-free, dangerous game, and even a designated line of hard-cast bear ammunition for maximum penetration to stop game now. The latest 223 option from HSM, Varmint Blue, features a 55-grain Sierra Blitz King bullet. HSM Ammunition at your local shooting sports retailer.
Every crossbreed holster is handmade based on the design invented by our founder. A Kydex pocket molded around your gun for perfect retention. Leather backing for comfort. Specially designed clips allow you to tuck in your shirt for complete concealment. The highest quality mag carriers and belts sturdy enough to hold any gun. Our holsters come with a lifetime warranty and 2-week try-it-free guarantee. Crossbreed. Conceal and carry the cross. CrossbreedHolsters.com.
The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently. When it comes to personal protection, nothing beats a Bodyguard. Choose the lightweight, compact, and concealable Bodyguard 380 pistol or the Bodyguard 38 revolver, both with a built-in laser sight. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
Let's go straight to the phones. Line 1, Philip's with us out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Philip, you want to talk Supreme Court?
Yes, sir.
Go for it.
How's this for some nominees? Masad Ayub, Alan Gottlieb, Alan Gura.
The dream team. I love it.
Yep.
Not much chance, but there you go.
Hey, well, that's all right. There'd be other cabinet spots open for him.
Oh, yeah. That'd be there are a lot of good possibilities. It's just you're going to have a president who is looking for candidates for not just the Supreme Court, but for all the federal judgeships who don't support the extreme view that Hillary Clinton has, that Americans don't have a right to keep and bear arms. I mean, that's Hillary Clinton's view, and she clearly states it out there. I mean, her deal is basically if you're not in the military, you don't have a right to own a gun. She goes with the whole, that's only for the militia. Well, of course, that's nonsense, and the Supreme Court says it's nonsense, and that's why she says she's going to undo that with her Supreme Court nominee. She's going to fix, in her words, fix the problem of the Supreme Court saying that Americans have a right to own guns. Okay, I got to give her credit for this. She's gutsy. She throws it out there and says, hey, I intend to strip you of your rights. Vote for me. Wow.
Yeah, but,
wow. Come on, wow. I'm sorry, Philip, but that's just crazy. Line 4, Ivan's with us out of San Antonio, Texas. Hey, Ivan.
Hey, Tom. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. I want to give a quick range report on several pistols that I was able to purchase this year, and actually I'm glad I did. The first one is the XDS in 9mm, but the 4-inch barrel. After 600 rounds firing through that gun has settled in, and it shoots very smooth. And I actually sold my Shield to get that one. And when I was selling my Shield, people were asking me, why are you going to do that? And I told them, well, I just want a longer sight radius and something that I'm more comfortable with. And I'm glad I did. So after 600 rounds again, that gun has settled in, and it shoots very, very nice.
Let me just point out to people. Hold on just a second here. Let me point out to people. You're talking about the new XDS that has the 4-inch barrel. It's a little longer slide, a little bit more mass out there, a little longer sight radius. It just slightly less recoil because of the mass. I think it shoots really nicely.
Yes, it does. The other gun that I got was a 1911 9mm, and I've always heard that they shoot nice, and until you shoot it, they shoot nice. And it's an all-steel, and it's a Rock Island Armory, and I tell you what, Tom, that gun, it's so. That caliber and that platform, it's so smooth and soft that it really it kind of like boosts your confidence that you can shoot better. It helps, especially when they have decent triggers. And I was really surprised, and I'm like, huh. So now I'm kind of like I have this bug of getting other 1911s and 9mm, like the Springfield Armory, a Colt and things like that. So I'm like set for 9mm and 1911s. So I thought, until they shoot it. People will hear it, but they'll know that once you shoot it, it's like there's nothing to it. It's pretty sweet.
It really is. Thanks, Ivan. I appreciate that. That is so interesting because, I hear you say it over and over again. It's really sweet. Everybody comes on, talks about how sweet a 1911 is 9mm. Says, then I shot it and says, you know what? Hey, it's really sweet. Yeah, we weren't just saying all that stuff. I mean, when I talked to Rob Latham, who has shot everything, I mean, who knows, 1 million rounds more. And he says, this is just perfect. The 1911 and 9mm is so sweet, so accurate, so much fun to shoot. And everybody, here's a question for you. Do you know anyone who has shot a 1911 and 9mm who did not enjoy it? Probably not. Line 3, Joe's with us, Shreveport, Louisiana. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Tom. I want to know if you've had any experience with or if you know anything about this Cool Fire Trainer dry fire system.
No, tell me about it.
Well, a friend the other day on the range pointed it out to me and gave me the website, and so I looked at it, and it looks pretty interesting, so you may want to check it out and maybe give us a report on it. I don't know anybody that has it.
I'm looking at it right now. Basically, it puts a CO2 cartridge in this gun, and it's supposed to simulate recoil for dry fire.
Yeah, there's
right?
a YouTube video that demonstrates that, and it looks like it works, but I just, don't know anything about it.
Huh. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to see if we can get them to send us one. We'll play with it, and then I'll give you my own range report. How's that?
Outstanding.
All right, good deal. You're the second guy who's mentioned this to me this week, so I'm going to take a look at it. Called Cool Fire Recoil Laser Trainer. Don't know if it's any good, but, what the heck. We'll try it and see. By the way, I mentioned earlier, we did a hog hunt. We went out to Savannah, Georgia, hunted with the guys from Polycase. They make that ARX ammo, that crazy polymer copper bullet thing that looks goofy. 45 ACP. Ryan shot this pig using the SIG P220. It's the same platform as our GT20 pistol, which is in 10, but this is 45 ACP. Now, look, I freely admit 45 ACP is not what I would normally use for hunting hogs, but in this case, it did the job. We actually got it on video of this hog getting hit. Range was short, probably 20 yards or less. Whacked him, and just as we expected, ran off probably 100 yards, which is not at all unexpected with that. Now, we did shoot one a little bit later with a 50 Beowulf. It moved about 3 inches, which was only its forward progress as it was walking. Just hammered it like you dropped a gun safe on top of it. It was unbelievable. Well, there you go. Difference between a rifle and a handgun. Both will work, but if you had to go for something dangerous or something that was going to hurt you or whatever, you'd take a rifle every time. But just interesting. There's my range report for you. 866-TALK-GUN, looking for your range report. I'm finally getting over some of the tick bites I picked up on the hog hut. Oh, sand flies? Yeah, sand flies. Sand gnats. That's what they were. Holy smoke. Think of something the size of a pencil point, a little bitty, teeny tiny thing, but they have the teeth and jaws of a Doberman. Little bitty things, you can't even see them. When they bite you, they just hurt like the devil. Sand gnats in the low country of Georgia when we're hunting hogs out there. Holy cow. I had not experienced sand gnats before. It would be my wish to never experience them again. Thank you very much. I think I'll pass on that. Line 1, Anthony's out of Fresno, California. Anthony, what's on your mind?
Well, there's this little community southeast of here called Kingsburg, and it's just barely big enough. It's only got the one high school. And last Monday, they announced on a local news broadcast that school district there would approve this ordinance allowing for teachers who have concealed carry permits to bring their carry guns onto campus during school hours.
And this is the high school?
Yeah, Kingsburg High. And there'll be as many. They will allow as many as, but no more than 5 teachers at any one time to carry on campus, and with the understanding that they'll be undergoing additional training twice a year by the school district.
That's terrific. I mean, it's another layer. It's actually a good layer of protection for the people who work there and the students who are there, as opposed to calling for somebody to come bring a gun, which could take 5 or 10 minutes to get there, versus somebody there who has a gun who could stop or dissuade the bad guy.
Or at least reduce the body count.
Well, and that's the reality of it, Anthony. I think you just hit it on the head. People say, well, is this going to stop it? You say, well, no, you're not going to prevent it. It kind of depends what you mean by the word stop. It's not going to prevent it, because I don't know that we know how to do that. But you're right. What you want to do is reduce the body count. You want to stop it in progress as quickly as possible, thereby reducing the body count. It's called the stopwatch of death. If you have to call on the phone and ask someone to bring a gun versus having someone on the scene who has a gun, because make no mistake, when you call the police, all you're doing is saying, have somebody with a gun come over here and take care of this guy. Versus having somebody on the scene, it's a stopwatch of death. People are dying every 10 seconds, every 15 seconds or whatever. So great news. That's interesting. California, who'd have thought it? Thanks, Anthony. Eric is also in Fresno, California, line 4. Hey, Eric, what's happening?
Yes, I was calling about the guy that called a couple back. Apparently he didn't listen too much in his training class for his permit. When you shoot somebody that is attacking you, you shoot them to stop them. You don't shoot them to kill them, or you don't shoot them to maim them. You shoot them to stop them.
Yep.
That is what when you're in court and they ask you, so you were trying to kill this guy? And you said, no, I was trying to stop him.
Well, it's a great point. To further on that, Eric, and that's why you are saying, stop, drop the weapon, and you're backing up. Stop right now. What you're doing a number of things with that. One is you're giving him a chance to change his behavior. And if he changes his behavior, then you won't have to shoot him. That's a good thing. And you're also, of course, getting other people to pay attention to, wow, what's going on? Oh, wow, that guy with the gun kept backing up and telling this guy to stop. And so they can testify. But the point is, all you want is for this guy to quit hurting you or coming at you or whatever it is he's doing. Cease what he's doing. If it takes, a yell, that's a good thing. If it takes a laser on him, that's a good thing. Sometimes if it takes a shot, that's not great, but it can be effective. If that doesn't work, keep applying shots until it is effective. And then, yes, he was trying to kill me. I was in fear for my life. I had to stop him. Pretty simple. That should be part of your training.